Alright, so here's your homework for linear and quadratic story problems. So Linda needs to have her car towed. So we have a cost C, and it's $55 plus $2 per mile. If I want to know the cost for 14 miles, I simply plug in 14 and I get my answer. So 55 plus 28, that would be 83. So what was the total cost for 14 miles? And the answer was $83. 4. If an object is dropped off a tower, the velocity after t seconds can be obtained, there's missing a word there, by multiplying t by 32. So if I go 32 times t and then add 10, so there's the velocity, 32 times t plus 10. If an object is dropped off the tower, what's the object velocity after 5 seconds? So then you can plug in 5. And we have seconds, but we don't have any other unit. So the answer is 170. All right, turn the page. So again, it's best if you try it and then you can watch the video and do the homework with me. So in a certain city, the cost of a taxi ride, there's a fixed charge. So we have a cost equation. So it costs $2.20, and then you add $2.25 per mile. If the cost came out to $29.20, how many miles did you go? So I'm solving for x. I know the total cost. So when I subtract 220, that's 27. And when I divide 27 divided by 225, I get 12. So how many miles did you go? And the answer is 12 miles. 7, Marty's T-shirt company. So there's a fixed cost of $650 and then a cost of $41 per jacket. So find the total cost of producing 146. Again, I'm going to use a calculator. And I get 6,636. Number 9, a lumberyard has fixed costs of $5,726.40 per day, variable costs of 52 cents per board foot produced. Lumber sells for $2.12 per foot. How many feet must be produced to break even? When revenue equals cost, it breaks even. So one side will be cost. So the cost is $5,726.40 plus 52 cents per unit. On the other side, you're selling it for $2.12 per unit. I want to know when they're going to be equal to each other. So I'm going to solve that equation. So step number 1, I'm going to subtract. So $2.12 subtract 52 cents. So it's 1.6, and then divide. So 5,726.4 divided by 1.6, and you get your break even. So you would need to sell 3,579 units to break even. So that's how many units you'd need to sell in order for revenue and cost to be equal to each other. Turn the page. These are quadratic story problems. The owner of a video store determined the cost C there of operating the store is given by this equation. So the cost is 2x squared subtract 32x plus 770, where x is the number of videos rented daily. So find the lowest cost. So first of all, I need to find the vertex. So negative b over 2a. So that is negative 32 over 2 times 2, so that answer is 8. Now 8 is how many videos. The actual cost then would be to plug in 8 So 2 times 8 squared, subtract 32 times 8 plus 770. So that would be the lowest cost. And again, the key is the formula to find the vertex negative b over 2a. 13. Again, press pause if you want to try it first. The price P and the quantity X sold of a certain product obey that demand equation. What price should the company charge to maximize revenue? So revenue is equal to the price times the quantity. So if I know the price and I know how many I sold, together when you multiply it, it's the revenue. So the revenue in this case would be the price, which is negative 1/8 x plus 180, and then you multiply that times how many you've sold, and x represents how many you've sold. So step one is to find x. So multiply it out. The formula is negative b over 2a, so it's negative 180 over 2 times negative 1/8. So a negative divided by a negative, that's 1/4, so do the reciprocal. So it's 40 and 30, 72, 720. So x represents how many you need to sell. So you sell 720. The question is, what price should you do? So go back to what P equals, and then where there's an x, put in 720, and that would give you the price per unit, because that's what you're looking for. What price should the company charge? So let me just use my fancy calculator here. So 720 divided by negative 8 plus 180. So that answer is 90. So what price should the company charge to maximize the revenue? And the answer is $90. If you ask for the maximum revenue, you'd plug 720 into the revenue model here. So where there's an x, you'd plug in 720, and that would give you the maximum revenue. But the question is, what price should you do? So you go back to what P equals and plug that in for x to get your answer. Let's try it again. So you're given x is how many you sold for that price. So what quantity x maximizes the revenue? So step number one here is when I take that times the price. So what I'm going to do is find out what P equals here first. So I'm going to subtract 180 and then divide everything by negative 9. So that P is equal to negative 1/9 x, and a negative, this is, divided by a negative, that's plus 20. So step one is to figure out what the price is. So then the revenue in terms of x would be x times that. And that would be negative 1/9 x squared plus 20x. So step one is solve for P, because I needed to know the price in terms of x, and then multiply that times how many. So that's the price times how many you're selling. So I need to know what P equaled. It didn't give me that, so I had to solve for that. Then I'm going to multiply it together. I'm going to find the vertex, which is negative b over 2a. That answer is 90. So negative divided by negative. This is ultimately 2 goes into 20 10 times, and 10 times 9 is 90. Now it says what quantity should you do? So the answer is 90 is the number of units. How do I find the maximum revenue? Is then I plug 90 into the revenue equation, which is right here. So negative 1/9, and then we go 90 squared plus 20 times 90. And the maximum revenue is $900. I look at number 15. The price P in dollars and the quantity X sold of a certain product obey the demand equation here. So step number 1, I know what P equals. So in order to find the revenue, I need to take how many you sold times the price. So there's step 1, and that's where you get your quadratic equation from. Then, once you have your quadratic equation, to maximize it, we're going to go negative b over 2a. So in this case, it's 360 divided by negative 15 times 2. So that's 360 divided by 30, which is 12. So what price should the company charge? So then I go back and figure out, okay, P equals that. So it's 12. And notice 12 is between 0 and 24. So then it's negative 15 times 12 plus 360. So the price that should be charged is $180. Number 16. The profit that the vendor makes by selling pretzels given by this function, find the number of pretzels that must be sold to maximize profit. So that's simply negative b over 2a, and you're given the equation you need, so just use it. So negative 1.2 over 2 and then negative 0.002. And that's what it's asking, how many pretzels? So the answer is 300 pretzels need to be sold to maximize profit. 17, same thing. Find the maximum profit. So again, it's going to be negative b over 2a. So that's 75. Now 75 tells you the number of videos, but I want to know the profit. So then I got to plug 75 back into the equation to figure out the profit. And I get $5,676. So be a good reader, know what the question is asking, so you know what to plug back in. Notice all of these that deal with maximum and minimum start with negative b over 2a once you have the quadratic equation. All right, last one we're doing together. Number 19. Developer wants to enclose a rectangular grassy lot that borders a city street for parking. If the developer has 240 feet of fencing and doesn't fence the site along the street, what is the largest area that can be enclosed? So we have a rectangle, but here we have a street, so we're not going to do any fencing there. So the fencing goes all the way around except the side that has a street. So we still have a length and a width. Our end is to find the area. So area is still length times width, even with the street there. But the perimeter is how many W's and how many lengths. So we take off one of the lengths because we don't need it because we have a street there. We know we have 204 feet of fence. And then if I try to get L by itself, it's 204 subtract 2W to get L by itself. Then I can come back to this equation, and where there's an L, I can put in 204 subtract 2W. And we still have a W there. So now we have one equation, that one unknown, not two. Distribute, so you have 204W minus 2W squared. Now you have what you need. So we're going to go negative b over 2a. So be careful. The first number is b, so it's 204, and then the second number is a, which is 2. So 204 divided by 4 is 51. That's the width. To find the length, it's up here. 204 subtract 2 times 51. And that's 102. So what's the length and width? So we have a length that equals 102 feet and a width that equals 51 feet. All right. So there's your homework. Awesome job that you did your homework and did your best to follow. Mr. G Math, over now.